In today's class, we are going to learn about thread states, which is also referred as life cycle of a thread. Normally, in our in our last classes, we learned like what actually a thread is and how a class can be converted to a thread. We learned like it can be done in two ways, where we can use thread class or we can use runnable interface. And we have implemented some programs also where some classes are converted to thread, and what are all the methods to be involved to work with threads and all we have learned in the last class, right? So we have observed there like we can use a start method to start a thread, and whenever you want to run any statements as part of a thread, we need to put that one in a run method, and whatever class you want to convert to a thread, that has to extend the thread class or to implement the runnable interfaces, right? And what is the requirement of converting a class to a thread, what is the importance of converting all those things into threads, all these things we learned in the last class, right? Now today we'll highlight some of the stages, like which is also called as a life cycle of a thread, where if you are considering one thread, what are all the different states the thread will be going through. Okay, so keep your heading all of you, thread states. So whenever you are talking about thread states, we will be having there are 5 stages for a thread. Note down the 5 stages, all of you. Or you can also call it as 5 states. So the first state is called as new state, or which is also called as newborn state. Second state is called as a runnable state. And third state is called as a running state. Fourth state is non-running state, which is also called as a blocked state. I think while learning your operating system subject, you might have seen these states for process, right? Fifth state is terminate, or you can also call this one as a dead state. Okay. So these are the 5 states we have as part of your thread state. So whenever you are taking any thread, that thread can be in one of these 3 states. Okay. So let us see what are all these what are all these 5 states with simple example. To understand this one very clearly, what I want to do is I'll take one simple example. So to understand this one, what I'm going to do is, let us take, we have one process. Okay. Let us take, we have one process. And in this process, let us consider we have 3 threads. Thread 1, okay, thread 2, and thread 3. So this is totally one process, and in that one process, let us call this one as one process P. And in this one process, you have one thread called T1 and another thread called T2, okay. And this is the other thread which is called as T3 also. This is called as T3. Now, whenever we have a process, this is a process, and to execute the things and all, we will be having one processor, isn't it or not? So let us consider this is our processor. Or let me represent that processor with a ellipse like this. So this is our processor. Processor is nothing but your CPU, who will be taking care of execution part and all. Now what happens, whenever a processor want to execute the thing, it will be connected to the process, and this process will be executed. You can have multiple processes also. Process is nothing but program under execution. You can have multiple programs also. This is program 1, this is program, we can have one more program, we can have one more program. Okay, each program can have multiple threads. Now as for simplicity, what I've done is I have taken a single program, where in that program I have considered 3 threads. Now whenever the processor is given a chance to execute this program, then that means we are given a chance, we have created 3 threads. So in this case, what we can say is like, it is nothing but we have created we have created 3 threads. It is nothing but new state. New state is nothing but whenever you are creating 3 threads, then it will be transformed to a state called new state. Okay, that is what our first state is. New state. What is that? We have T1, T2, T3 as our new states. Okay. T1, T2, T3 are in a new state. Now, after some time, as the threads are created, these three threads are waiting for the processor to get a chance. So once the threads are created, you will be calling the start method, isn't it or not? So whenever you are calling a start method, it is nothing but these three threads. These three threads, if you write like T1 dot start and T2 dot start and 3T dot start, it is nothing but these three threads are ready to get executed. That means these three threads are added. T1, T1, T2, T3 are now added to a queue, which is called as runnable state. This is referred as your queue. Why it is called as a queue? Because whichever the thread is, if it is ready to get executed, like it is waiting for the processor chance, it is not, if we will be having only one processor, it can execute T1, it can execute T2, and or it can execute T3. All three can't be done at one time. It will be given some time, it will be given some time, and this will be given some time. But all three are ready to get executed. Then what happens? These three will be added to the queue. Now, sometimes what happens, the processor will be executing T1, and after some time that the processor will be executing T2, and after some time the processor will be executing T3. So whichever processor we are executing, whichever thread we are executing, like whichever thread the processor is executing, that thread is referred as to be in the running state. It can be T1, T2 or T3. It is not like all three will be executed at once. It is not like that. Only one of these T1 or T2 or T3 will be executed, but all three are in runnable state. That means they are waiting in the queue. Now, let us take a simple example like while executing T1, it has been given 5 seconds of or 6 seconds of time. After that, it is shifted to T2. Now, while executing T2, there may be a case like the T2 wants some input from the user. At that case, it has to wait for some time. Why? Because until and unless it gets the input from the user, the T2 has to wait. So, in such a case, we can convert our T2 from runnable state. Are you following what I'm telling? You can convert your T2 from runnable state to blocked state, or also called as non-running state, where you are making your thread to wait for something. As an example, I told you like the T2 thread wants to get some input from the user. Until and unless it gets the input from the user, it can't proceed. In that case, the amount of time it is waiting, instead of wasting our processor time, what we can do is T2 can be sent to non-running state, and the processor can be allotted to T1 or T3. Right? So once the T2 gets the input from the user, again it can be transferred from T1 to runnable state. It is not like it can be directly given to the processor. It can be added to the queue. So it can be added to the queue, and again it is nothing but it is waiting for the processor to gets executed. Understand all of you what is non-running state? Non-running state is nothing but because of some other conditions, like one simple example of getting an input from the user. Some threads some threads are in the waiting state, and that waiting state is called as non-running state. So once that is satisfied, the thread which is in the non-running state can go back to the running state. Right? Now we have the last state, which is called as terminate state. What is the use of this terminate state is, it can be possible in two ways, like normal way or abnormal way. Normal way is nothing but if all the threads are executed successfully and your program is completely executed, then all the T1, T2, T3 threads can be reaching to the terminal state, which is called as normal completion of your program. Or we can have an abnormal termination also, which is also called as abort, where we are forcibly making the threads to close. Why? Because of some other internal issues and all, it will be creating some problem. And if you want to stop the execution of a particular thread, then if it is not able to complete the execution in a normal way, then what can we do? We can simply have a process called aborting, where we are forcibly doing the things. So we can terminate a program in a normal way or an abnormal way. Okay, so these are all the different states we have whenever we are talking about thread. So this is totally called as a thread life cycle. Right? So what is thread life? Note down all of you. New state is nothing but the thread. If you are creating any thread, I'll note down here. whenever you are creating any thread, then it is nothing but a new state. Okay, and what is nothing but runnable state? Runnable state is nothing but you have created a thread and you have invoked the start method. That means it has been added to the queue and it is waiting for the processor. It is waiting for its chance to get the processor time. Now, running state is nothing but you are running the program, or it is nothing but you are executing the thread. Like at one time only one thread can only be executed, but in a runnable state we can have multiple threads, or all they will be in the queue. Blocked state is nothing but it will be waiting for, or it is not, like it is not eligible for running now. It is in the waiting state to occur some other events to happen. Okay, waiting state. Understood all of you? Terminate state is nothing but whenever we call a method and once it is done, it will be moved to the terminate state, or else forcibly also we can do that one, which is done by your abort method. Okay, so these are all the 5 states. Diagrammatically, if you want this to be represented, then we can represent this one like this. We can have diagrammatic representation like this. Note down all of you. I'll note down here. Okay, or else I'll do like this. What is our first state? Our first state is new state. Okay, this new state can be represented like this, or else new state. So this is our new state. Note down this diagram, all of you. Now once this is created, it will be moved to the runnable, isn't it or not? So our next state is runnable. Okay, how it will be moved? It will be moved like this. From here to here, it will be moved. Okay, after runnable state, we will be having a running state. Runnable runnable state is nothing but it is waiting for a processor. Now if you are using round robin fashion, so remember always this runnable state is nothing but a queue. Now one of the thread from this queue will be chosen by the processor depending upon the CPU scheduling algorithm you have, and one of that will be chosen by the processor and it will be moved to the running state. Okay, so it will be moved to the running state like this. Okay, now while running, sometimes there will be a chance like it can successfully do the execution. That means the thread has been successfully executed. So that means we can move to the terminate state. We can move to the terminate state like this. Or sometimes while running the execution, while running one thread, I told you one example T2. If you are running T2, while running, it wants to get some input from the user. In that case, it can move to another state which is called as a non-running state. So you can have one more state called as non-running state, which is also called as blocked state. Okay. That means from running to non-running, we can move some threads depending upon some events. So which is also called as a waiting state. Okay. Now what are all the reasons for non-running state? You can have different methods for achieving this one. The methods that we are going to use are wait method, Okay, or else we can have sleep method, or else we can have suspend method. These are all the methods which will help us in moving a thread from running state to not running state. Now, once the thing is achieved, like if you got the input, the thread T2 got the input from the user, from non-running state, it has to move to the runnable state. It is not directly given a chance of running. It will be moved to the, what is that one? Runnable state. That means it will be added to the queue again. So you can have like this. So what are all the methods that will be helpful in achieving this one? Note down those methods, all of you. You can have a method called notify, notify all. These are all the different methods we can have. Resume, which will be helping us when let us consider you have given a method called sleep. Sleep is nothing but you are making the thread to wait for some milliseconds. So let us consider you have given 1000 milliseconds. Then once the 1000 milliseconds over, then it will be moved from non-wait runnable state to runnable state. Understood, all of you? So now how we are moving from new state to runnable state? You have a method called start method. The method that will be used here is the start method. Understood, all of you? So these are all, this is the complete life cycle of your thread, where a thread can pass through all these states. Initially, it will be in the new state once it is created, and once you give a start method, it will be moved to a runnable state. And you have a method called run method. Run method is nothing but the processor is given a chance to execute that one. It will be moving to the running state, and because of these three methods, it can be moved to the non-runnable state, and then it can, once the thing is achieved, it can move to the runnable state, and you can have a process like terminate state. Sometimes there is a chance like from runnable state and non-runnable state also you can move to the terminate state, but that is in an abnormal case. Understood, all of you? So this is totally about your thread life cycle. I hope you all are clear with this concept of thread life cycle.